Hi, everybody. This is the Rambling Toffee podcast. I'm Mark. I hope everybody is having a nice Sunday today and rested up after the game yesterday. Um, yes, it was a very interesting game yesterday, and there's been two listening on social media and everything else about the game yesterday. There's two counts of that performance. Something positive, something negative, and a bit frustrating here and a bit frustrating there, and for me, I'll go through the game. Obviously, playing Brighton yesterday, finishing 1-1, but I'll have to start with the team that was put out. I think naturally you start, if Anana wasn't injured, you start with the same team I felt that played against West Ham in the last Premier League game. Um, and I felt Patterson should have started. I felt it would have been like for like, basically, to stick and give James Patterson a a run in the team and and give him the time to actually settle in and get more and more minutes. And I think the decision to bring Ashley Young back in, I can't understand it. No disrespect about his age. It's never, I don't think about age. If they're good enough, it doesn't matter what their age is. But I just felt yesterday with the pace that Brighton do have in their team, he was just going to be he's just going to be like it did. He played okay to an extent in certain positions and certain situations, but when the ball was going past him, he was getting past. They were getting past him several times, and we needed the pace on that. We needed the kind of player who can get back and get into that position. I will say that with the rest of the team, with Drissa again coming into that midfield again, he and James Garner, I thought, did really well. They did their jobs and did what they needed to do in the tactics that were set up for the game. I thought Jack Harrison didn't have the greatest of games, if I'm honest with you. He didn't. He was just basically doing more a defensive job and getting in the tackles and doing that sort of thing. He didn't get us further up the pitch and didn't be that creative player that we have seen him to be. So, on that front, yesterday, that's what I noticed from it. But you would expect the team that was set up, with Anana not in, with Gay, and maybe with Patterson should have come in. But other than that, the team was what it's been over the last few weeks. And yes, how can I describe the game itself? The first half, I thought the first half went on for a long, long time. It didn't feel like 45 minutes, felt like an hour. And it just was, the minutes were slowed down. And I was thinking, when's it half time? This game's going on longer and longer. And it's because of the way Brighton play. And they're set up in a way to pass and pass and pass and pass, moving around. No wonder why the stats are such that they had something like 81% possession when it came to the end of the game. But a lot of that passing and moving, what they did was well away from our goal, and we did quite well in a defensive setup and in a way to nullify the threats that they had in the team. So that was a positive and a good thing. And of course, in the first half, we get the opportunity with Decore, with the goalkeeper saved, and of course Mikalenko at a second attempt scores, and we won up. And momentum you think was there. We kept our shape. We did really, really well. And these are the positive things you can look from a game point of view. But you just felt that if we didn't, nullify that threat from Brighton, they were going to get further and further up the field, and it was going to be about amount of time before an opportunity was going to come their way. And they nearly got it with, again, why? I don't know what Sean Dyche and the coaching team do in training with the defensive team and our defence and our midfield. Every time we get a free kick in that position, it goes right to the back post. Lewis Dunk is there, scores a fantastic goal. We were lucky it was offside, but it's happened so many times. It happened in the Luton game, and it needs to be stopped and it needs to be sorted out because it's happening too many times, and we got away with one again, which is very rare for Everton at the moment with VAR and other things like that. But it mind its own, really. But So that first half did really well. We got to half time 1-0. Came out second half, and it was like what happens most times. We just allowed them to get further and further up the field. We got moments when we reverted to the usual type, which is Dyche ball, as I'm going to call it. You can be critical with me or not, I don't care. It's Dyche ball. It's a setup that you see at Burnley when he was there. It's a setup that's there. You go straight to the goalkeeper. You launched it. You've got Calvert-Lewin who's playing really, really well, flicking on the balls. The Corey's getting onto him. We're getting into situations, but it's always the wrong ball at the wrong time at the wrong minute. It always happens. We can't get it right. And that is what was happening when we did have opportunities going down there. We had opportunities in that second half to, get a second goal, get an opportunity, but it was always a wrong decision. And then what was going through my mind is that Brighton decided, and this is being proactive, come start of the second half, they change the substitution, bring one player on. We started to do what they were doing throughout the game, passing and moving, getting further up the field, getting a little bit further up towards our defensive line, and basically getting balls in and getting into space a lot more. And they obviously, their manager decided, let's bring some more players on. Let's change it, do something different, freshen it up. Let's do something about this. Let's go and try and get something out of this game, because throughout the whole game, as much as what their passing was doing, a lot of that what we were doing really well up to about 70 minutes. I think roughly around that time was that we were nullifying all that and that threat. But you can see it was starting to build and build and build and build. And I was getting worried, and I was thinking, they're going to get a goal here. It's going to happen. It's going to happen soon. And in my head, I was sitting there and I was looking down in the main stand. I was looking down and I saw Beto, and I saw him. He was eager to get on. He wanted to get on. I saw, and I saw Patterson running up and down as well. And I was like, when are you going to make this change? Because we needed to freshen up somewhere. And you may look at the bench and think, have we got players that you can make impact straight away? What, in my view, he's gone like for like. But in my view, he should have gone, let's just go take the Corey off maybe, or McNeil, doesn't matter, take somebody off in the midfield who's behind, bring Beto on, put him with Calvert-Lewin, go for it. Just change something different, do something different, just change the tactic, do something a bit different. He left it and left it and left it, and then they equalise with a fluke, yes, but they keep on being persistent, and then chances will happen if you keep on bashing at the door, keep on banging on that door, it happens. And they got that bit of luck, and it's deserved really in a way. But it wasn't until something like the 83rd minute that Beto came on and Patterson came on, but he took Calvert-Lewin off. And my reality is Calvert-Lewin is creating, he's getting in the positions, he's getting the ball down to the Corey and other players around him to get into the box and get opportunities. We did. We had a little spell where we tried to get the ball in the goal. This was before Calvert-Lewin came off, but he just changed it. And then after that, it just went. And I just thought, we're just going to see this game out. And that's what happened. And it's like, this is the frustrating thing. But the funny story about all this is it finished 1-1 against Brighton, who are a good team and who are, okay, not, as I mentioned, they're not higher up as they were last season, but they're still a good team, and they've still got players out with injuries at the moment as well. And they're gonna continue wherever they're gonna go in their path. They've got everything set up the way that they want, but to get a point, because they've taken results. They've beaten some of the like Manchester United and other teams, but Manchester United are not really doing well. But they've done really well against the top teams. So for me, that result, you can look in a big picture and think that's a good result. It's a point. We've not lost. We've gained a point. And if you look off the last, 8 games, we've won 5 out of the 8 games that we played, and we've the last game that we lost was the Derby game, when I mentioned in the Derby game where should have been a point. If that player was sent off, it might have been a different story. But we're progressing. We're getting results. We're doing better than last season. So my head goes big picture. We're going in the right direction. We're progressing. But another part of me is thinking, what do I want when I go to watch Everton play at home? What do I want to see? I would like to see a bit of both. And I like to see that defensive and strong and competitive team that we saw yesterday on display and, nullifying the opposition. But I also want to see us being a little bit more proactive and a little bit more passing the ball a little bit more and being a bit more confident going forward with that and getting forward and creating opportunities as well. But the problem I'm having here is that, I've talked about the Wolves game and I've talked about the Fulham game and I've talked where we had a lot of possession and we create lots of opportunities and we lose. So we're in this rock and hard place of where I would like to be is somewhere in the middle of that, where we've got bit of both going on. So that's where the frustrating thing from yesterday was he got the tactical right, but it was the substitutions. We needed to change something. We needed to do something a bit different, freshen legs, because we did play in the week. We played in midweek, and we've had 3 games in 6 days. We've had that. Now we've got a week before the Palace game, and so we've got time to rest and probably recharge and get ourselves back into a position that hopefully before the international break we can get a result down at Crystal Palace. But you can look at ups and downs with this sort of thing. And from my point of view, watching that game, I was getting frustrated because I was seeing what was happening. I was seeing Brighton getting further and further forward, and I was seeing the passing getting forward. I could see what was happening. And I'm just a fan. I don't manage the football club. All I have is a view and opinion of the knowledge that I have, is that we should have made substitutions. We should have tried differently, should move around, do something different. He didn't do it and he left it too late. Nobody, the media yesterday didn't even bother to ask the question about why did you leave it late for substitutions? What was going through his mind? What was his take on that? But hopefully, Onana will be back for the Palace game, but he needs to be a little bit more confident with players that are young with potential, like Patterson, and we need to give him more game time. But I don't know what the issue is with him and why he's not giving him 90 minutes, why he's not giving him the full games. It'll be interesting because Seamus Coleman is back in the frame, so will Ashley Young keep his place, or Seamus will move back into that position, and Patterson still be on the bench? Where will Ashley Young play? Does he become one of those players that he can play different positions? I don't know. So it's wait and see really on that. But it was a very funny performance. It was set in a way. It was set tactically that way. It was progression. Yes, you can look at all these good positive points, but we were not that far off getting a win. And I think the fact that they equalised after all the way it was going and everything else, I think it rankled a little bit with me, a little bit. But we didn't lose. Let's look at the positives. But again, as I mentioned in my podcast about Sean Dyche, and I've always said this, that's what you get with Sean Dyche's teams. That's the way it's been set up to make us hard to be tactically that way, and it's hard on the eye to actually watch those kind of performances. You see some good stuff within it, but it's quite hard. But at the end of the day, if it's part of getting the team going forward to not be in a position that we've been in for the last 2-3 years and going forward and actually staying away from that position, then so be it. But if that's the case and it's just about basically keeping the team in the Premier League for this season, and if the is actually moving us further away and progressing in that sense and just going out there to get performances, then Sean Dyche's shelf life as a manager at Everton Football Club is a very short one. But because in a long term sense, where I would like to see the club is, being the club that we all want them to be, what we all remember it to be. If everybody remembers the Moyes era, the periods of time when we had some great players, and we've got some good players coming through now, good young players. And you look at the time when Moyes had them teams with, Tim Cahill's and the Pinars and the Baineses and everything else, that we had that period of time where we were a good footballing team, but also we had a great workmanlike type of team as well. And, you seem to find that balance, the right formula, the right players, the right types. That is where the team that I would want to see going forward going that way. But you need a head coach. You need somebody, a young head coach, somebody who you've never heard of, that can come in, that can utilize, with the director of football, utilizing the world marketplace for recruitment, bringing in good young players that are unknown, very similar to the way Brighton and Brentford do their things, have a very similar setup and a similar way to do things. But Sean Dyche is restricted, and he can only do it in one way and not in another way. I hope you understand where I'm coming from this point of view. But it's a question that I've obviously dealt with myself at the moment. Is that Sean Dyche is for the moment, but I don't think for the long term. And I just feel that we need to have people in who are going to drive this club forward to be in a position that we want to be. We want to be in Europe again. We want to be challenging for trophies. We want to be being more competitive. We want to be what I always reminisce about my time as a youngster watching Everton play in the 80s and the great championship sides that we had. And if you look at that team, and I just talked about the Moyes team, but when I look at that team and I look at the players that we had good young players, hard-working players, but we had some quality, and it was really good players, and that's what we want more and more. And you can see with some of the players that we currently have, like Ananu, who is showing potential going forward. James Garner's starting to show that potential, and he's still very young. Mikalenko's getting better. He's getting further up the field. He scored yesterday. We're seeing positives like Jared Bramthwaite as well, who is just calm and mature. Tarkovsky's getting better as well, as much as what his age. He's not young, but he's just colossal. He's getting better defensively. And you're seeing some really good positives. Dominic Calvert-Lewin coming, getting back to his best. And we've got Beto and Chimiti. I know Beto will take time to acclimatise to the league. Same with Chimiti. Chimiti's still young and, still got a lot to show. We've got some positives there, and I think the question you have to ask is, Sean Dyche the right person to hone his skills and his ways to help them to progress further, to get better and better? And that's the question. We have seen what you can do with certain players, but we'll see as this season goes on. But the future has to be is when as this game finished yesterday, is if we want to progress further and we want to go further, we want to get better. We have to talk about who we go after in the transfer market in January, if we have money, if it's available to actually do that. I know there's Dele Alli out there who it's looking like we're trying to renegotiate a deal for him, and he's on the field again, or as Sean Dyche says, he's on the grass, and he might be an opportunity there for a bit of creativity in our midfield. So there are players out there, but we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, the result yesterday, it was a hit and miss with me. it had so many good things about the performance and how we grinded out and worked hard and got, which could have been a win. Okay, it finished a draw, but it could have been so much more in so many ways. But it's Brighton. We've got enormous respect for them. They're a good team, and they're going to go further and further. And they've got some really good players in their team. I just hope, hopefully, at one point in the future, some point in the future, that we'll have a team capable like that and be able to play, wonderful football. And we all dream that we want to see our team scoring 6 goals and having 80% of possession and creating loads of opportunities. We're not Man City, and at the moment we're not. We're just a team that just is staying alive in a sense, and just progressing the way that we need to. And we just in a long-term picture, we have to look at it that way. And I'd rather be not at the end of the season worrying again, thinking, are we going to go down to the Championship? But then again, we might get a points deduction. So watch your space. So anyway, so that's my review of the Everton Brighton game. Um, uh, Hopefully we can continue progressing, continue going in the right pathway. Seamus Coleman will be back with some good experience at within the team. We've got Dele Alli. Hopefully in the next few weeks, probably maybe a little bit longer. Maybe we might start seeing him making an appearance at some point. We've got Onana, who was out yesterday. I'm guessing because he was standing, he was going along. Obviously, it was a little niggle, so he decided not to risk it with him yesterday. So he'll be back for the Palace game, I would guess. So it'll be same up. I would say it'll be probably the same team that started yesterday, probably without Idrissa Gueye. As for Ashley Young, I don't know. I can just see him starting again. I don't know what his fascination is with him. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see on that front. Anyway, so that was yesterday's game. Yes, just before I finish for today. Yeah, we're still waiting for. Obviously, I just mentioned. Will we get a points deduction from the Premier League? Um, uh, Hopefully, the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, I'm using hope. What my hoping is basically it would be some sort of fine, or it'd be or suspended points deduction, or something that's not will mean that we're not going to lose them points. And we'll see what happens. But even if it comes down to we will get breached and we've got a 12-point deduction, we'll appeal it, but it will just drag on. And it's not good. It's not good. And I just hope that we get some positive news on it. That Premier League are just doing it, to spite, to get the best, to throw everything at one club that they felt was easy target for financial fair play and the issues that the club are going through. Because as it's been documented that for a couple of seasons it's been we've been following the Premier League. We've been following everything that the Premier League has been saying, what the club should be doing to get the finances back into shape. We've been selling our top assets that we have at the club and everything about that. So, we follow something, but obviously we don't, because nobody knows where the breach is coming from. Some people think if you believe it's coming from something from the tax from the stadium, but it's nothing to do with the football club in the sense that the club or the players or anything about that side of it. So it's an interesting one. So yeah, we got that upcoming. So we'll see when that gets announced and put on the Premier League website. Well, got that plus this ongoing takeover. I know 777 partners have putting money in to keep the club going. And you can look at it negative or positively where that money's coming from. Is it? Well, be interesting where he's got that funding from. There was a story yesterday. It's coming from the Daily Fail, but I think the Telegraph, the Times. I think it was the Times. Have also said that they passed the directors test, meaning that they can be directors on the board. So that's, I don't know, it's interesting, but they've still not been able to tell, or have they told where they can get the funding to buy the club plus the stadium and continue to build, complete the stadium, because that stadium is absolutely going flying up like a rate of knots. And as I said a couple of weeks ago when I did a bit about the stadium, I'm excited. I can't wait to go and find where I'm going to sit. And if I'm going to make a decision, I'm going to sit there, or if I get an opportunity to move, and all the great things that's going to go around it. It's going to be fantastic. And I'm being very optimistic about it. And I will continue to be optimistic about it because it's great to see every day. And while the club, the last few weeks or so on the field, I've been performing a bit better and getting results and progressing a little bit better in senses, as much as I'm still, you know, a bit hit and miss with the way Dyche is working at this moment in time, in a short term sense. That stadium is amazing, and every week you watch the drone videos or you watch the club when they put the video out as well, and you're just seeing it, a new thing just been put there. The interiors are starting to come together. The structure of the state and how steep the seating is, I can't believe it. I suffer from a condition that people know called Meniere's disease, which is caused me dizzy and vertigo and tinnitus and hearing loss. And I'm just thinking, well, when I get my seat and I'm going to go and sit, I probably need to sit lower, because if I sit that far up, I'll be spinning everywhere I go. I'll be needing help from the stewards just to get through again. So, and I'm kind of worried because I don't want it to be a point that I have to give up my season ticket because I can't go because of it. But just seeing how steep the pillars are, the steep how it's amazing, and it's going to make the atmosphere in that ground extra special. But of course, we're all going to miss Goodison. I'm going to miss Goodison. I miss the people that I sit with, because I sit with a few people around me in the main stand, and we're always chatting to get about the game. We get on really, really well, and it's just going to be a shame that when we do move, we're going to end up not seeing each other again. So, what I may do is speak to them and just try and see if we can all be near to each other, so at least we can keep keep communicating, as such. So yeah, we'll see, but it'll be sad to leave Goodison. It's a wonderful, it's old. It's got. I went into the main stand yesterday and went into concourse. It's absolutely cramped in there. The toilets are terrible. It's cramped. If we got one little quick kiosk for some food, and it's just what it is, and that's why we need to move. That's at the end of the day, and there's a reason behind it. But it's so squashed, and it's just you feel tight. But it's what generates the atmosphere when you're sitting in your seat, and you can get, that's why you get the great atmosphere at Goodison, and it's gonna miss it for that, and the evening games and everything else. What we talk about, I talk about. I ramble on a bit more now, but when I talk about when I went to watch Everton v Liverpool in 1991 with my granddad, who not passed away not long after, and they were, I was in the Gladys Street, and the atmosphere that evening was unbelievable, and to generate that, it lives with you forever and ever, and you'll always remember that. You always remember the memory of it, and we've had games like that since then, but you know that's what I'm going to forget. And what I will miss about being at Goodison. Um, yeah. So at the moment, yeah. So it'll be great seeing the progression of that stadium, and the way it's going. Hopefully, with my new show, which is being developed at the moment, I'm thinking about ways about to develop the new show. I'll be getting maybe some of the guys who do the drone footage on the show, and we can talk about how do you get how do you do it and everything else, and it'd be great. So just watch the space on that one. So finally, before I finish, I'm just rambling on. I could have gone on for another hour if I wanted to. Um, I want to thank, if you saw the video, I've shared it on social media. I've put it out there. As you can guess, I'm looking for sponsors for this podcast and also the new podcast that I'm going to be developing. And my whole purpose is about having sponsors. It could be from companies or anything like that. Individuals, if you want to, if you want to contribute £1 here or whatever. I'm still putting it out there, so I'm still waiting for if anybody's got any interest. I need to put it. I don't know if I'm going to go through a GoFundMe page type scenario um, to see if anybody be willing to chip in £1 here or there. But predominantly looking for sponsors, which I'll advertise obviously on my shows. And the whole purpose is to keep these shows free, and it enables me to allow as many of you who listen to my podcast to enjoy what I ramble on about, and enjoy, at free and don't have to pay a subscription for it. So I want to thank a few people out there who commented on the video. Dan, I can put Dan out there, who is offering some graphic design input if needs it. So I'll be going to him for that when the time is to develop it further. I need more time to do this, and so I just need a little bit of help going forward to enable me to set up a website, new website, quality of the audio that I do, everything that you want to listen. I just want it to be crisper and better, and I just want you to enjoy the listening that I do. But predominantly, the second show that I'm going to do is going to be, I think it's going to be fantastic, and it's going to be great to be able to speak to you guys out there. It's not just for people like, as I mentioned, maybe one of the drone guys. It's going to be any Evertonian out there I can just get in touch with. And if you want to come on the show, let me know, and we can set something up through Zoom, and we can just talk about why we support Everton Football Club, what excites us. We can talk about the past, talk about great games, that great players, whatever it may be. But just look out for that in the next few weeks as I develop and find that time to actually start it. But if you've seen the video, please, give me your feedback, give me what you think would be a good idea. I also, just as I said, Dan, I've mentioned the Steve as well, who always comments on my Spotify um, podcast. He always puts a comment out there. His feedback was fantastic, and many others who spent the time to wish me luck and go for it. That's all I've been given encouragement to keep doing this, because obviously I must be doing something right. So anyway, on that note, thank you very much again for listening to this podcast and listening to me rambling on as per usual about all things Everton. It's always appreciated. I'll be back after the Crystal Palace game. So for now, I hope everybody has a great day, and I'll speak to you in a week's time. So take care. This is the Rambling Toffee. Goodbye.